Okay, Chair, the live stream is now on YouTube.
Thank you very much, Alison. Welcome to everybody on not apparently this colder night, but still a little parky outside. Could I have the apologies for absence, please?
Chair, we have apologies from Councillor Robinson.
Thank you. Could every councillor declare themselves at the meeting, please?
Councillor Bezic and Councillor McCarthy are here
On his computer.
on the same computer.
Councillor Rocks here.
Councillor Dutton.
Councillor Malcolm.
Councillor Wardle.
Councillor Susan Emmett.
Thank you very much. Any declarations of interest?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, read
Want me
Please.
to read it out, Chair?
Yes, please.
In accordance with the Code of Conduct for Councillors, I'm declaring a personal and prejudicial interest in the Heywood Township Master Plan agenda item as a director of Heywood Market Board, and that market may be directly impacted financially by the adoption of the master plan.
Thank you, Councillor Bezic.
Chair, I did seek clarification on this one, but having read the document, I didn't quite know what it was getting at. But I believe I have a personal but not prejudicial interest as my parents rent a unit, 7A Church Street in Heywood, which operates as a business and may therefore come under the master plan, although because it's not myself or a civil partner who has the renting, it doesn't become a prejudicial interest.
Yeah, Chair, I also have to declare an interest in accordance with the council conduct for councillors. I'm declaring a personal and prejudicial interest in the Heywood Township Master Plan agenda item as a director of the Heywood Market Board, and that the market may be indirectly impacted financially by the adoption of the master plan. Thank you.
Is that okay, Alison?
Yes, Chair, I've noted all those declarations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Press and members to declare, urgent items of business. I don't think there is any.
No urgent items, Chair.
Thank you. Items for exclusion of press and public.
No items for the private agenda this evening, Chair.
The next item on the agenda is before the open forum. I'd like to go into the adoption of the Heywood Town Centre Master Plan, down to be in the large numbers on agenda item 8. All members have been sent copies of questionnaires and were submitted by the deadline that will be heard. The following procedure will be used to consider the item. Head of Planning, Paul Moore, will introduce the report, and John Blundell, I think is going to introduce the report. Public questions then will be taken in order that the Township Officer, Gareth Finch, reads out as their meeting. You have asked to raise the questions. So, excuse me. So, please do, when you're asked your name called, the Township Officer will read the question. Each question will be asked their questions to response either by giving verbally or written response will be provided 10 days of the meeting line of the procedure. Members then will consider the report.
Yeah, both Councillor Bezic and himself will leave as we've already declared interest.
Sorry? I missed that.
Yeah, we've just declared interest, Peter. Both Councillor Bezic and myself have to leave the meeting.
Fine. Can I now bring in John Blundell, please, to present the meeting?
Yeah, thanks everybody for inviting me to my first Heywood Township meeting. I've heard they're the best township meetings. Well, I've come to talk to you basically about the Heywood Town Centre Master Plan. When I first became a cabinet member a few years ago, I'd been relentlessly told Rochdale get everything, Heywood and Middleton, Littleborough, all the place where I live, we don't get our fair share. And I didn't think it was right that people didn't know what was going on in their part of the borough. And at that stage, the Labour Party published its manifesto, which promised a master plan for each of the borough's districts to make it really clear to people, this is what your area might look like in a few years' time. Not to set things in stone, this isn't a rigid plan, but to kind of give a direction to help towns attract the investment that they need, and so that officers can be working to something that's been made really clear to the public. Now, what that means is as soon as you publish something, people have opinions on that. But it's better that we have this discussion now at the township level and get a plan put in place to make sure that Heywood gets the investment and funding it wants and deserves. And that's why I'm proud to be coming tonight to be putting these in front of you. We will be going to Littleborough with one, and we've just started. There was some discussion what we wanted to do, but we've just started the one in Middleton. Obviously, Rochdale's got its regeneration plans. You can see them coming to the fore. But these are actually, I think, just as exciting. They're a bit more small scale. That's not because the ambition's less. That's because Heywood's actually already got a lot of the key ingredients you need to be a successful town, and that's why it's already got so many shops. It's got far more restaurants in the centre than Rochdale does. A lot of what the work's about, it's about public realm, it's about providing spaces to hold markets and getting traffic off bits of roads that kind of don't really belong there anymore. And of course, the document has multiple options in it. So there's no this is what we're doing, go away. This is part of, a conversation with you guys and the public, and obviously people have opinions. And I'm sure in a couple of years, some of this will be realised, some of it won't, some of it will change. But for the first time in a long time, we have a plan in the public domain that tells people what's happening in Heywood. But I'll take the questions later on, and if there's anything that's too technical for me to understand, if politicians got paid based upon what they know, they wouldn't get paid. So we've got the officers here to give the actual presentation and to help us pick up on any technical points that I can't answer. But I'll be taking the questions. So if that is that all right, Paul? Can you come in now, please?
Thanks, Councillor Blundell. Good evening, members. So the report before you this evening seeks approval of the proposed master plan for Heywood Town Centre. So I don't propose to read the report in full, but simply summarise the key issues and matters before the items considered by Township Committee this evening. So I think it's important to start by saying that the master plan itself has been prepared in detailed consultation with elected members of Township, and this has included a walk around the town centre with members, officers and the consultants that have helped to prepare the master plan, and has also been supported by some detailed briefing sessions with the members to help refine the proposals. So the involvement of the elected members has allowed us and the consultants to build up a detailed picture of the town and some of the key issues that Heywood faces in terms of planning and highways issues, and crucially to develop in effect a detailed vision for the opportunities that will support Heywood and the future success of the town centre. So a key part of that work has been understanding baseline conditions in the town centre, and the master plan covers that in detail in the first sections of the report. And the master plan then goes on to set out a vision for the future of Heywood and includes some detailed SWOT analysis, so looking at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, and develops a series of objectives for the future of the town centre that are based around place, movement and land use. And just to summarise, some of those include, in terms of place, focusing on Heywood's identity, the heritage, and the idea of trying to create a civic heart in the centre. In terms of movement, a really strong desire to try and reduce some of that severance that occurs through the town centre as a result of the A58. opportunities around consolidating the bus interchange and also looking at resolving some of the issues around town centre car parking. And in terms of land use, really looking at trying to support growth of residential development in the centre, a focus on the high street, and also as part of that looking to maximise the potential of council-owned land. So ultimately, the master plan that seeks to promote a number of objectives, and that includes a much more attractive town centre environment, including the historic buildings and heritage assets, supports major public realm improvements within the town centre, trying to create a much more attractive environment for pedestrians, cyclists, shoppers and businesses. As I said, promoting residential growth in the town centre with the benefits that brings in terms of additional spend, and also supporting regeneration of brownfield land in the centre. Identifying other sites that have development potential for future investment, and also opportunities around improved car parking. And a key part of the master plan in terms of the indicative proposals is very much the area around Angel Meadow to the south of the centre, in terms of supporting much greater sort of residential growth and development in the centre. Now, the master plan also includes indicative options showing how these improvements might be facilitated by alterations and improvements to the highway network as well in the town centre. So one of those seeks to work within the existing highway network and the one-way system to incorporate new public realm improvements, more attractive footpath routes, and improve connections both north and south, east and west. And the other option seeks to explore how a two-way traffic flow along Dawson Street might be implemented that would allow the creation of a much more attractive shopping environment on Market Street, and help to facilitate a much stronger continuous pedestrian connection that links the High Street down to the public part, War Memorial Civic Centre and St Luke's Church, for example. So I think what I'd also say is that the master plan is clear that those options need to be developed in much more detail. So as Councillor Blundell mentioned at the start, these are indicative proposals, and we acknowledge that there is much more work around detail modelling and design work that would need to be undertaken. But crucially, the master plan sets a vision for the town which officers could use to apply for funding bids when opportunities become available. So the master plan would play an absolutely crucial role in supporting funding bids to, for example, any levelling up fund that becomes available through central government. And the absence of any master plan would seriously hinder the ability of us to do so and undermine any funding bids that have no reference point or approved strategy from elected members. So as Councillor Blundell said, it's absolutely key. And I think what I'd also say is that a key part of the master plan is this focus on a place-based strategy for Heywood, rather than just a list of sort of single or individual projects for the town centre. And that's really key, because what we know about the emerging and current funding regime is that there is a real focus on place-based strategy. So we would reinforce that really as a key point of what the master plan's trying to achieve. And I think it's also fair to say, as Councillor Blundell pointed out at the start, the master plan sets a high level vision. So we would envisage sort of further consultation with businesses and residents as proposals emerge in due course, subject to those opportunities around funding bids. So there's no further points from me, Chair. So that's the introduction to the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. Public questions will now be taken in the order that the Township Officer Gary Finch reads out. If you were at the meeting and have asked to read any questions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Please, sorry about that.
Just to remind people, I'll be
sorry. Please, when your name is called, the officer will read out the question. Each person will be asked the question. A response will either be given verbally or in writing response, provided within 10 days of the meeting. Then the members will consider the report. Over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everybody. The first question tonight is from Christine Downham-Clark. And Christine has asked me to read it out, and it reads, both option 1 on page 38 in the master plan and option 2 on page 39 show the area which includes Heywood Market and adjacent shops and car park as an area which could be developed subject to alternative provision for existing use. Can the Township Committee give assurances that there will be no development whatsoever until suitable alternative premises are made available for market traders and shopkeepers to move into? That's the question. Any response?
So it asks for Heywood Township to assure them, which you're welcome to, but just as the person, well, so the power of this nature lies with the cabinet. I can assure you that there'll be nothing happening with Heywood Market or that area unless those people there want it to happen. We know the council's not in the game of trying to force developments where we don't want, where people don't want them, and this plan has to have the backing of people in Heywood. I mean, both the options mark the area for development, but I've not certainly been part of any meetings, or I don't think what's in mind is, the wholesale redevelopment, flattening it and rebuilding it. I don't think that's what anybody really had in mind. It was more about refurbishment, do we want, because I've been, in the past, I've had a tour of the market off Sue Courts, and I got the director to come as well, and she was talking about some of the exciting plans that are going on at the market. And obviously we want to complement those. I mean, so I now live in the central Littleborough. I was brought up Smallbridge and Fergal. I'm always saying, how do we get a market in Littleborough? Most places would kill for a market, of the size indoor that Heywood's got. Whatever we do, that's got to be kept. It's got to be a centre focal point of Heywood.
Okay, any other comments on that? Okay. Can I move on to the next question, Chair? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Certainly can, yeah. Next
Sorry. Could I? Am I allowed to comment on that?
No,
David. I don't see why you can't. Go on. As long as it's not a free for all, it's just very easy. I'm happy. Sorry, you're on mute, David.
I've just got to remind you, Councillor Blundell, there's a lot of questions to be asked.
All right, well, we'll just take this then, and then if...
Okay.
Still on mute, David.
Sorry. How's that?
Over to you, yeah.
Yeah, very, very quickly on the market. It's absolutely fantastic that we've got a Heywood market. I was only watching a programme this morning, and markets are making a comeback. Unfortunately, I didn't get the name, but it's actually a company that investing in markets massively. And the trend to do is to get these outdoor markets. They're absolutely fantastic. And I do believe that could be a central point for Heywood. Again, if you look at a similar thing they've done in Radcliffe, they have these eateries inside. It's become a focal point where they play music. So I would be all for, and I think there's a lot of people in Heywood who do believe that the market, there could be a lot better things going on down there. So I would just like to voice it. Unfortunately, I haven't got the name of the company. Sorry, I do. Just bear with me one moment.
Sorry. Just like, I can assure you, Heywood councillors all think the world of the market. We support it. We look forward to it future. We always have supported it. We've got members on board. So I think we should stick to the questions, please, at this moment of time.
All right, go on then. Sorry, yeah.
Okay. The second question is from Harry Downham-Clark, and Harry has asked me to read it out, and it reads, can the Township Committee give assurances that the Heywood public will be invited to take part in the further development of the master plan, as stated in item 412 on page 7, and also in item 7.2 on page 9 of the information pack for tonight's meeting? That's the question.
The short answer is yes, of course. I mean, different areas are having different types of plan put together. I mean, so for example, Rochdale Station, we've got a Rochdale corridor strategy. So other areas don't have a town centre master plan, they're having a station master plan. And the Rochdale Station master plan's just been put in something called a supplementary planning document, and that's going out to consultation. And that's because we feel that as a council we need certain powers to deliver certain aspects of that plan. If we get to a point where, you know, we want to do something that is different from this plan, or, you know, as we start to take things forward, naturally consultation then becomes part of it. But we must remember, because obviously everybody's seen the plan that's been published, you've got to start off somewhere. So this plan has been put out. It's had every member of Heywood Township was invited to input into it multiple times. At one stage, Councillor Dutton actually said to me, "Why do we need to walk round again?" And that's because we, you know, literally a couple of weeks before they've been doing it for some TFGM funding. And that's because councillors have been feeding in from the start. They are the public's representatives. I get they're not the public, but they are their representatives. And now we've put something into the public domain, and that naturally causes a debate among people who live there. Now, naturally as well, people then start to worry, what does that blob mean? Why is that one in a different colour? You know, where's that line going? And that's why I've come tonight, and we're having a discussion at this township, so that members of the public can air their views here and get a bit of an assurance that, you know, the life's not about to be turned upside down. So in terms of public consultation, yes, because that's the only way you're going to enact this master plan and develop it any further, is because people have got to be behind it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next question, please, Gary.
Next question is from Sue Coates, and Sue wants to ask the questions herself.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. I just want to just read a little preamble before. As you're all aware, the board of Heywood Magic Markets has been working over the last 2 years with RMBC regarding the refurbishment of the Market Hall, which has actually started today. Throughout the pandemic, we've been able to help our traders and have actually enticed new start-up businesses. And we were mentioned in Parliament, congratulated for the sterling work we were facilitating during the pandemic. We managed 36 businesses and have helped many businesses to develop and move to larger premises. After receiving a copy of the master plan, a board meeting was called. The majority of our board were very concerned how the master plan may impact on the market. And in my capacity of chair of the Heywood Market Board, I enclose the following questions. Some of these questions I don't think you'll have to respond to because some of them might have been answered, but I do wish to just say them all. The board is interested how long this project has been in the planning and which businesses affected have you consulted whilst you've been developing the plan. We have been told a very in-depth consultation process will be undertaken before any work begins. And the question is this correct? And then can you please explain in greater depth what is meant by redevelopment of market area? Again, I've heard what Mr. John Blundell has said, and that's quite reassuring, but would like to know in depth what's been envisaged, because it's in every single plan, you know, in every single option. So we want some more detail on that, please. And are flats being proposed on this market development was another question. And question 3, please can we still depend on support from our township chair and councillors who were previously on the market board when the board unanimously agreed to refurbish and redevelop the market hall using community funds? And this was minuted on the 6th of the 9th, 2019. Can the options of the master plan be combined? Where it says plan 1, plan 2, can we take bits out of every one of them? And can the township clarify when it is proposed to start this master plan? And those are the 4 questions really I'd like to ask. And if anybody can verbally answer these, but if they can put it in writing to us, if they can't verbally answer them tonight, please.
Yeah, right. So I can kick off. Well, the first one, how long has it been in the planning? It's roughly been in the same length of time as you've been looking at the redevelopment of your market yourselves. If you remember the initial meeting we had where you walked me around the market, I explained to you at that stage that a master plan had been coming forward, and it was actually published in the Labour Party's manifesto that will be somewhere online at the moment. So at that point, when I expressed it to the board at that point, Ray and Peter was also on, and will probably remember that walk around the market. It was about that time. When we say redevelopment, like I said, I want to reiterate, that doesn't mean the bulldozers come in tomorrow. It could mean anything. You could tell me, we've looked at our plans, we want to extend that bit of the market here, we want to, I don't know, not that bit down there, I'm making things up. But this plan, basically, I put it in the public domain, everything will crawl out the woodwork, people have arrived tonight and they'll tell us their ideas. And then when we've got a better idea of what we want to do, then we'll go back out to consult with things. But it's about starting that conversation. And on the point about in-depth consultation, definitely. People think the council is all powerful. It isn't, and councils are often cash-strapped. So even if we did want to redevelop the market, we have to work with the people who own it. The council's not in the business of trying to take property off people when that is completely unnecessary. A, there'd be public uproar. B, it costs too much. And most of the time, you're pushing on an open door. As I've already pointed out, Sue, you give me that walk around in the market and tell me all your plans. And I said at the time, this will go well with what's going on. And I give you that assurance at the time there would be consultation when need be. You said, will there be flats? I think that would be a good idea to have flats in Heywood Town Centre, but I think the majority of the housing is going to be focused around the Angel Meadow site, not limited to. But I'm sure when you put a master plan like this out, people who own bits of land or developers start to think, oh, that'd be good there, that'd be good there. And things will come out of the woodwork. But until you give people that vision and say, this is what the world's going to look like, they're not really interested. But as soon as you do, paint a pretty picture, it tends to corral a lot of investment. When you say, can we take a bit out of all of them? Yes. So we're not really, tonight, there's going to be no vote on option 1 or option 2. Because really there's hundreds of options that you could put in a report, it'd be never ending. The point of the options is to kind of give you it could be this, it could be that, to start a conversation and make people's minds wander a bit. It's not really there to we might want to get an endorsement on one of them, but it's not there to kind of set things in stone. The council by law, I think, if we try and change double yellows somewhere, has to consult for so many weeks and stick a sign on a lamppost. If you've got to go to that level of consultation for minor changes, you're going to have to go through a lot more consultation to go through much bigger things. Have I missed any of your questions? Sorry, you're on mute, I think. So.
Just one thing, John, was when I was talking about flats, I was asking about specifically flats over the market.
No, unless the market are telling me that's what you want.
No, we don't.
No, well,
no, definitely not. Definitely not.
No, then no.
No. Thank you. All right, thank you. I'll get this.
Just going back on mute.
Could have a bowling alley.
I'm sorry. So can I have this in writing, please? What you said to us. I'd like it in writing, please, so I can take it back to the board.
No
please.
Problem. The council's got no desire or plans to. If you wanted to have a development with a market with flats above it, or
no.
Well, no. There's honestly, I've not seen any plans. I can't remember seeing any plans. It might have been an option on some old report or something. Well, yeah, no. What's in the document? It just says redevelopment because we're here. We're all ears as to what people think. Of course, you can have it in writing, but I don't know if Paul Moore's still on the call. Could somebody send that to Sue? That with no immediate plans or anything in the pipeline where we'd want to do anything in that. We'd obviously be working with the market if need be on the development.
Supporting the market, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just supporting the market, would you?
Yeah, like you said, the council's been working with you the past couple of years. We've helped you with the bits of advice you've asked for. Whenever you've asked me to attend a meeting, I've come. So I can't, I'm sure, I'm 100% certain you couldn't have been better served by your representative. I've always turned up when you've asked.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next question is from Steve McLaughlin, and Steve has asked me to read his questions out. There are 3 in total. First one is, why has there been no prior consultation with the businesses and residents of Heywood? Why are discussions taking place in lockdown when a lot of Heywood businesses are closed and residents may not be able to have access to Zoom / Microsoft Teams meetings? This is the first I've heard of the master plan. I'm sure there may be large numbers of residents not aware of this. That's the first question.
No, so Steve, there's no smoke and mirrors here. It's, like I said, so the process so far has been, people are always telling me we don't know what's going on in our area. Whenever I've banged on a door in Heywood, they say, we like it in Bury, we don't get enough out of Rochdale. So a lot of the Labour Party members, some of them are on this call, and the councillors said, we want a better vision for what's going on. So we did some workshops with the members and the councillors to say what are some ideas. Then all this is you put it into a document, you put it out there. When we talk about consultation, there's nothing going to happen tomorrow. So there's no set council policy or anything like that. What this master plan does is it's brought you to the table. So you've come tonight and you've asked your questions. And then I'm sure following this, I'm going to hear lots of things about, we want this for Heywood, but we don't want that, and we do want this. And that's the purpose of the document. So I won't worry about anything that you don't like in the plan, because when it gets to the stage where we was going to do something about it, or we'll see what people come out to work, you guys are the first people to talk to. And like I said, this it's not just popped out of the ground. It was a public commitment when people went and voted Labour a couple of years ago. This was one of the things we promised, and I'll reiterate, it's a good thing that you've got a document in front of you saying what's going to happen in Heywood. Before we started on this plan, I went online to have a look, and I know there was things to do many years ago to do with the money that John Prescott launched. I forget what it's called now. It was 50 million. Those things that have been brought forward in the past, but for a long time there hasn't been anything in the public domain telling the public this is what the council's doing to help improve Heywood, and that's what this plan does. Does that answer your questions?
We've got 2 more questions. Okay.
I think Steve Kerr's been asked a question. Steve McLaughlin's been asked a question.
It partly answers the question. My main concern, which is sort of through the questions, some of the stuff has been already answered, but I only heard about this master plan over the weekend, so it's relatively new to me. And I'm just wondering what the council are doing to let the residents and businesses know, because I've not been aware of it, and I'm not media shy or anything, but I haven't seen anything about a master plan.
Well, you have, because you're here.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I'm saying only over the weekend.
I mean, you've kind of proved your point, I'm afraid, by coming. So, I mean, there's at some point somebody's got to say something. They've got to go, let's do this, or what's a good idea. A couple of years ago, the Labour Party made a commitment to having master plans in each area. We're fulfilling the promise to the public that that's what we're doing. We've got some initial thoughts in this document. We've published it, and now I'm the cabinet member. I've turned up to listen to your views. So I don't know, it can change. If you don't like parts of the master plan, it'll be refreshed. It's not set in stone. Is there something particular that you wanted to say?
Carry on, Steve. Unmute yourself.
No.
He's gone on mute again.
We've lost you.
I'm going to just say, has the master plan not been on the government website?
Sorry
the
about
RDC website?
Sorry, what was that, John?
Sorry, David. I was just sorry. I just said, so we are all ears. If you want, I'm happy to come back. I'm happy to come back. I don't know if did you say you're from the market or you're involved with the market? If you want me to come back to the market and speak to the traders when it reopens, when I'm allowed to that lockdown, no problem.
No, I'm nothing to do with the market, John. Just Heywood resident. That, as I say, I've only just heard about it. I'm more concerned about what the council are doing to let residents know so that they can be part of the consultation process.
So it's been published on the council website. People can go look at it. It'll then be published on investingrochdale.co.uk. When there's little milestones come forward, so say we look at a part of it, we look at a new public realm in some of the options, that'll go out to public consultation and it'll remind people, go and click on the master plan, go and have a look. And naturally things come back. So like you've come tonight, you said, I've not heard of it before. But at some point, people haven't heard about something before. You've got to put it out there and get a reaction. And that's what we've done. And like I said, if people weren't aware, they won't be here, but they are. So, I won't repeat myself. We will let residents know 100% every little milestone because we have to. I'm pretty sure it's by law. You've got to do it by certain highways things and stuff. And you can't. The council can't redevelop things or bring things forward without speaking to the public. So that's definitely going to happen.
I would just like to say there, John, I think you're doing a
Excuse
brilliant job.
me, David. Don't interrupt the meeting.
Okay, can I move on to the next question?
Are you happy with that, Steve McLaughlin? Thank you. Carry on. Next question, please.
The second question, which is Steve's, is: has the council set a date for construction to begin, or is this the beginning of the consultation process?
So there's no construction. That's why there's options. You're putting options out. What can we do? And then as say that the market had come forward and said we want this instead. She said she doesn't want flats. Other people might want flats. I don't know. You'll have to see. But when people come forward with bits of ideas, we'll say, right, do you want to do this? And if it's a highway scheme, that'll go out for public consultation. If it's changing parking, that will. So there's no construction. Anything that gets done, but piece by piece, and it will be piece by piece. This road wasn't built in a day. The public will be made aware and ask their views.
Thank you. Next question, please.
The final question from Steve is Heywood Market being affected? And if so, will there still be a market in Heywood after completion? If yes, where is the market placed in the master plan?
I think he's already answered that for me in the previous.
The market is where it is. The council, like I said, the council's not in the business of demolishing it. It's a different story if the market or the owner or whatever comes forward and wants to speak to us as the planning authority. But the market isn't owned by the council. We're not here to tell the council, the market, what to do. And I've already expressed, I wish Littleborough had more of a robust market. It's definitely an asset. that Heywood's got a market, and that's why every time the market's asked me to come and visit, and I have done, and I asked the director to work with the chair of the township and Susan Coates on the aspect, because there's something to do with the lease. I can't remember the exact details, and that's why the council's worked with them every step of the way. We won't do that if we were then going to, turn the world upside down. I reckon I'll be old as Peter, and the market will still be where it is.
I'm the comic here. Next question, please.
Okay, so that's the next question is from David Smith. Now, if I can just say to David, you've sent in a number of questions, David. There's 17
sorry
questions.
to interrupt you, Carrie, but David Smith seems to have gone brewing up.
Has he? He's back.
Thank you, he's back now.
So the next questions are from David Smith. David, can I ask that first of all, you've sent through 17 questions. Now, I think it's evident that all those questions are not relevant to the master plan. There's a mix of master plan questions and questions in relation to environmental management issues. Can I ask that you concentrate on the master plan questions and ask those in turn, please?
Also, just to butt in for a second, if you want to talk in detail about things, I'll happily meet you separately. If it's stick to the key questions about what the public are going to be interested in terms of the master plan for Heywood. You're on mute.
Muted, David.
Would you like me to introduce myself so the members know who I am?
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So first of all, So very quickly, I'll go through it. So first of all, I'd like to say thank you to the invite that I got to Township. I was born in Heywood, got many friends here. You might see me around on social media. I'll skip through this very quickly. And I've had some interactions with various people and councillors, whether positive or negative. I want you all to know that I love this town. I want it to become a fantastic place to call home, where we can all live in a very clean, green, safe environment. So whatever difference we've had in the past, I'd like to say, let's put them behind us and let's play a role in rebuilding its town. There's going to be at times we're going to disagree. I'm very new to this, but the members of our Heywood Cleanup group, which I represent, are extremely passionate and we want to achieve our goals. So basically, we started this group in 2020 in October. It's grown to 120 members. Various people play different roles in improving our environment in the town. We've also got a big interest in the regeneration. We are on media platforms, so we are getting quite popular, also a member of Greenpeace. Basically, we use what's called a system. It's called disruption. So that basically means that we activate, we shake people up, and we achieve better things.
Sorry, David, sorry to interrupt you, but can we have the questions, please, on the master plan?
Well,
master plan.
Yeah, I was just introducing myself, so you know who I am. So very quickly, obviously, thank you very much, and I shall go to the questions. So, so can we move? Do you just want the questions for the master plan?
Just the questions for the master plan, please.
First question. Yeah, what's the time frame? This is going to be probably difficult now. What's the time frame for developing land on Sefton Street? The Phoenix Brewery, the Phoenix Brewery Sefton footpaths to start with, and also the land on Starkey Street at Mossfield School. Is there a time frame for that, and is it going ahead? Do we know?
So, as far as I'm aware, some of these are highways issues in terms of footpath maintenance and things. Of Phoenix Brewery, my testing me that. My mother's from Heywood, my grandmother's from Heywood. I was born in Milnrow. I've had my tail cut off, I'm afraid. But so I don't know it that well. So the Phoenix Brewery is slightly out of the town centre, isn't it?
Yeah, there was talk about developing a pub/restaurant.
Yeah, so I'm sure that's all, but I wouldn't say that's particular to any of the public realm improvements or the highways improvements in the town centre.
Correct.
So we're just dealing with the highway side of it, are we?
Well, just the sense. Any of the
interrupting this, Chair. we're dealing with the master plan.
This
And
is what the
there is-
master plan is on the
One of your questions is regarding the Mossfield site. We're well in progress with the Mossfield site occupation, which I'm put into my township. I'm going to bring it up tonight, but not to complicate things in the immediate future. The Mossfield site.
So the master plan says the development of Sefton Street.
Yeah.
When's that, and do the members support that?
So, Paul, do you want to come in just on Sefton Street? Because I can't. You're testing my knowledge of street names, I'm afraid. Can you know which one that is, Paul?
I think at the moment, John, what I'd say is we don't have particular timescales for development of these sites, so I'll leave it at that. Councillor Bundell and Chair.
Okay, just if we can just go on the land again. This was the Mutual Mills site.
Chair, can perhaps I, as a ward councillor, come in on what ward councillors think? Just speak, and I know I speak on behalf of all three ward councillors. With the Mossfield site area, fully in support of seeing it developed. We've seen many plans come and go, unfortunately, with investors looking to invest and then pulling out due to the potential competition with Morrison's and access issue problems, which is why at the last township meeting, we've put the money in now for the mini roundabout on Bamford Road, Starkey Street. Hopefully that'll alleviate some of the access problems, meaning that it's more attractive for people to invest and build on. And I think in terms of options there, I think we're very open-minded. If it's, retail, office space, or indeed housing or social housing, I think we all want to see that area built on ASAP. And I heard you say Mutual Mills, so I'm going to jump ahead of you and say absolutely. It was really disappointing to see the investors pull out of that due to COVID and Brexit. That was a real disappointment for us. The potential flats that were going to be developed there. I hope something gets sorted out sooner rather than later, because it's a lovely, lovely spot. And I think we'd all welcome something being built there, or rather being redeveloped there.
Thank you, Liam. Thank you, Liam.
What about the old Bamford Squash site?
Please. I'd just like to endorse Liam's comments. This is the second time with the Mutual Mills, supported 100%, looked at the infrastructure, etc. And with regard to the roundabout, and regard to no obstruction, but there is a plan going through that has been given to me by RDA. Officer will come to township. The site is now being looked at, the Mossfield site, as a development with very, very strong financiers, which is well overdue. We're well on the way for that, and I'll be reporting it to the next township. With regarding to cost, my township have agreed to put a roundabout between Starkey Street on the middle of Bamford Road at a cost of £90,000 as a safety roundabout, and we've been more or less guaranteed finances from the developer of the Mossfield site. Thank you.
So can I just jump in 1 second, David? I think a lot of your questions are going to be very site specific. And like I said, so is it not better that me and you have a conversation offline?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, lovely. I appreciate that, John. If I can just go further on to number 10.
Yeah.
Number 9. When is the set date for the master plan of Heywood with regard to town centre to start and be completed? John, I don't think you mentioned that, because obviously there's a lot of people want to get moving on it. So any ideas?
Well, work starts tomorrow. So Paul Moore's the planning lead on this, and a lot of this will be about bringing housing forward, working with developers that he speaks to on the day-to-day. So Paul does a lot of work in terms of speaking to, when somebody puts in a planning application to build homes, Paul does a lot of work to make sure they're up to spec. It's what we expect, to try and get affordable housing in when appropriate, or even the opposite, nice housing. So as soon as this is adopted, Paul's then got a bit more authority on the day-to-day when he speaks to these people to try and corral them into trying to develop in this area. He's already been talking to landowners and the like, just to get an idea. because this has been on the cards for a long time. In terms of the highways improvements, this master plan's well placed because things like the Mayor's Challenge Fund, so I don't know if you know, Andy Burnham put a lot of money into walking and cycling. And a lot of this is public realm, which will improve the walking and cycling facilities in Heywood. So you'll be able to bid into things like that, and I'm sure the council officers have already been looking at this. Sorry, Elsie's just brought me my laptop charger. Just give me 1 sec. This don't happen when you're in person. I don't need plugging in. There you go. So a lot of this is kind of well aligned. So, but like I said, so as these things kind of pop out the ground, which they will do now, there'll be a lot of consultation that goes into each proposal. But the point is, as you said, you're really excited about it. You've now got your grand vision that everybody knows what they're working towards. That includes officers, that includes you, that includes the businesses in the area. So that, the market's, it's got a bit of security. It can invest in what it wants to do as far as,
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah. Can I move then on to, that's a good, thanks for that, John. I must say, the head of planning hasn't actually ever returned any of our emails, but maybe he might from now on.
Send them to me. Send them
yeah,
to
I will do from now on. Yeah. Okay, if we go to 10, is there an actual idea to modernise the shop fronts of primary and secondary areas?
So there isn't as immediately. I can't remember if something's said of that age of the master plan. That type of thing happens periodically. I mean, it was raised by Peter and Ray when we were walking through. There were certain buildings in the town centre that needed a facelift.
Yeah.
But it doesn't actually have to come from the council. I mean, for example, when I was chair of the Pennines Township rather than Heywood, we had a scheme where businesses would get 2/3 of the shop front sides paid for by the township. So those ideas, that's again very operational. And things you can kind of come to your township with, or even come and speak to us at RDA, and you can do stuff about that. The master plan's more about strategic planning, the big stuff. But I'm weird. The small stuff matters, doesn't it? Because it's no use putting all this investment in and then things looking a bit tatty.
Well, let's be honest there, John. The master plan, we start looking beyond the master plan on health and safety and living and bringing environments together, and we're going to spend all this money, hopefully, if we get it. And then realistically, basically, the centre is saying we'll plant some trees. It's not really going to be good enough to create an ambience. So we have to create the full ambience. I will talk to you more about that. But obviously, it is definitely something that's looking positive for Heywood. And I can tell you now, we've got a lot of members and they're embracing change in Heywood. So what you're saying is sending some positive things. And I really appreciate your positive comments.
I agree with you, David.
I think for those, with regards to master plan, I think I'm quite happy with the answers to them questions, and I thank you very much. Yeah, I'll wait for your further questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Drop me an email, and I'll meet you. Hopefully, when lockdown's lifted, we can walk about. We'll meet up. All right.
Oh, we'll definitely do that.
Thank you very much, Dave, for your comments, and I'll join you and John on a walkabout. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next question, please.
Yeah, the next question, 2 questions are from Angela Brown. I know Angela's. Do you want to ask them, Angela? Do you want me to ask?
I will.
Okay.
Mostly been answered. On page 8 of the master plan, there's like a map with all red in it, and I was just wondering whether that indicates council-owned land, which I think it does. That's a lot of land that the council own, and it's a lot of opportunity to develop housing and not touch our green belt. And the second question is, so really please try and develop some housing on them so that you can take it out of the green belt. And the second question is, I would like to know which councillors have inputted into this so far, or if they haven't, are they going to? Because I've read through it, not in full detail because I haven't had time, but I would feel more assured if local councillors were inputting into it, really taking that seriously, rather than it just being the cabinet, because I'm not sure that there's many Heywood councillors on the cabinet.
So there's no, so there's Heywood, there is Heywood councillors on the cabinet, but so the only cabinet member who's seen this is me. Everybody else who's inputted into it has been a member of Heywood Township. There's been multiple occasions where each member of the township has been asked to input. The most regular attendees have been people.
Oh, actually inputted though. So there's been asked to input and there's actually inputted.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go through who has inputted and who hasn't now. But everybody's been given the opportunity to do so multiple times. Every member of the council. Sorry, every member of the Heywood Township who's a councillor. It's definitely not cabinet driven. This hasn't even been to cabinet. The most regular attendees have been the chair, Ray and Peter Malcolm, but that's not to say the others didn't. They just come to the more formal sessions more regularly and attended the walk around. In terms of the land, the reason this was a Labour Party commitment was because the public keep telling us we want you to build on brownfield sites. Now, just to not get things confused, the GMSF is about unlocking a massive employment site, say Heywood, and really Heywood's the big winner in the GMSF, I think, across Greater Manchester, because that site will attract your very big. I mean, there was rumours, weren't there, in the MEN, it was published that it'd be Tesla. You're not going to get the big employers like that coming for porky sites in parts of GM, so the big winners there. But the reason we've got these master plans and the rail corridor strategy, because we kept being told we want infrastructure-led brownfield site plans coming forward. And that's what the Labour Council's delivered. We've now got a rail corridor strategy, which aims to focus development around rail stations led by sustainable public transport. And they've gone through the same exercise, Angela. We've identified who owns what land, how much could we build on it. In the Heywood town, in the Heywood master plan, there is, there's pictures of dwellings per hectare and things like that. So that's what the plan's about. The difference is the sites in the GMSF are viable. So you could build them without any public subsidy, or, they're much easier to develop. The ones in urban centres like Rochdale and Heywood aren't. So the government doesn't allow us to always put those sites in. I'm not commenting on individual sites, but we're not allowed to put things in our housing numbers that we can't deliver. So this is our ambition for Heywood, but that doesn't mean we can then account for it in the other policies we have in the council. But let's, make it be clear to the public now, this is what the council want for Heywood. Now, we're going to have to do some building out other parts of the town as well. But that's because the government moved away from housing renewal, subsidising the redevelopment of housing estates. And the Tory government moved towards pulling those subsidies into building in the Greenbelt. When John Prescott was in charge under housing, we had something called housing renewal. That was all swept away by the 2012 Act, and during austerity years, that subsidy was removed. Nonetheless, the Labour Council here in Rochdale want to build on those sites. And it's the same everywhere, actually. The council owns a phenomenal amount of land. A lot of it's either freehold or bits of grass that you don't think. If you actually walk round, it's actually a lot less than you think on the map. But anywhere you go in the country, the council is always the big landowner. Sorry, Liam, yeah?
Next question, please.
Sorry, Liam just had his hand up.
Sorry about that. I missed you, Liam. Where are you?
Sorry, Peter. I'm on the top left here, but I don't know where I am for you.
You've moved.
Sorry. Yeah, just to reassure Angela though, all Heywood councillors have inputted, not just had the option to input, but have inputted. John will probably tell you that he's sick to death of me telling him that we need to do something in Heywood, because I'm sick of people pointing out to me that they don't feel Rochdale Council does anything about Heywood. So he's sick to death of hearing that, and I might let off him, for a couple of nights before I start again, telling him to get on with it. And just say, comments on making sure beautification is part of this, making sure that there are places for people to not only park, but also to get public transport in and out of the town and be able to stay there comfortably. these are all things we've inputted as part of the long-term master plan and the vision we have for the town, which is why we're so positive about getting this out to the public now to get comments back and build upon it. We really want to do that, which is why we're desperate for this. We're glad this is happening tonight.
I wanted to say, actually, from what I can see, I actually like the plan. Just so you know, like I actually do.
Thank you very much, Liam. Thank you very much, Angela. Any more questions?
Yes.
Let's go on. Sorry.
Yeah, the next question is from Colin Lambert, and I understand Colin wants to ask the questions himself. I think he's got 2 in total.
I've not spoken to Colin Lambert for years.
Are you there, Colin?
You're muted, Colin.
Can you hear me?
We can now. You've unmuted.
Oh, sorry, right. I don't think the camera is actually working, but never mind. 2 parts to the question. The master plan indicates 2-way traffic onto Dawson Street. Obviously, this would require road widening, particularly at the Dawson Street Bamford Road junction. This puts those businesses there at risk. What plans do the council have to mitigate the risk to the businesses? Also, does the development indicated on the Heywood market site meet the criteria for the new planning regulations, namely permission in principle consent? If it does, then it doesn't go back to planning. And is the site entered on part 2 of the Brownfield Register? Is that okay?
Yeah, so Dawson Street, much debate about Dawson Street, and in the end we put it in. Is it wide enough? If it's not wide enough, so we had highways engineers look at it. This is from memory, so don't hold me to this. So, you know, for general traffic, it's, you know, it can be done because there's obviously going to be improved footways and everywhere. And the Junction 19 link road would mean you don't need HGVs to drive through the centre of Heywood anymore. But the answer is we don't fully 100% know. We're getting, now it's out there, and if people think it's a good idea, Peter and I think it was Ray the meeting, but Peter's basically said, you know, why don't we have a look at it? We'll do some modelling. So they do traffic modelling, where it's like a computer simulation to see if it works. And if it's safe, it can be done. And when you say businesses at risk, obviously we wouldn't put businesses at risk. We would certainly find them a new site if, you know, we did want to widen the road and that's what the public wanted to do. But we're not in the game of, you know, forcing businesses out where they don't want to go. On your point about the planning issue, I think we've covered the point about the Brownfield Register and all that. You know, we're not, the council's not in the game of trying to take people's assets off them and do things to them that they don't, that they don't want us to do to it. What we are in the game of is trying to improve Heywood. So this plan's about setting out a vision and getting people talking about what that plan's going to be. I mean, like I said, Colin, I mean, we've been a councillor much longer than I have been. And there's been periods in the past where the Heywoods had a lot of investment, nearly under the £50 million logo spent at the time. But there's also been periods earlier in this decade where there were no plans out in the public. So you're always going to start a conversation when you put things out there. And that's what we're doing. And I think it'll be warmly welcomed.
I congratulate the fact that we're having the conversation. The issue about the market development one is if it meets the permission in principle consent route, which the government put through, then it could get passed without actually going back to a planning meeting. So that's what concerns me.
I don't think, I think that relates to if it's in your local plan, as in your district local plan. This doesn't have any, this master plan doesn't have any weight in planning. For example, the master plan that has come out for around Rochdale Station, that's got what's called a supplementary planning document being published with it. And that's so the council does have some planning powers in that area. At this stage in Heywood, because yours is a bit more comprehensive, it's a bit, it's not massive scale stuff like a new Riverside, like you got in Rochdale. It's more small, many more smaller scale items. you don't require that level of detail for a planning document, so it certainly wouldn't get past the planning committee. And to get development, the people on the site would have to want that to happen. So I won't worry about it.
In terms of keeping the HGVs out of Heywood Centre, we wanted that for years. In terms of John Prescott's thing, it was the New Deal communities which brought £52 million into Heywood, John. I was obviously heavily involved with that, both in terms of the New Deal and Heywood development. Heywood needs redevelopment. I just wanted to make sure that they're not going to make the mistake the 1992 Labour Council made in Rochdale, because Heywood's not for sale. So don't repeat the 1992 one, which led to the biggest.
Can I just say, I was born in 1993, so you're going back there.
And I suggest you go back and have a look at those. The council leader might be able to tell you about them.
Well, that means I don't. But certainly, it was not for sale. This is not a plan about specific properties or what we're doing with them. This is broad strokes master plan to give people an idea of the direction of the town. And now there's already kind of your region committees, as you know, Colin, but these will be meeting more regularly. I'll show my face every now and again. We basically need to keep the the council's feet in the fire about delivering on a plan for Heywood. And a lot of the time I found there is stuff going on in towns across the borough, but there's not one place that brings it all together. And these master plans will do that, and it won't, not only will it make it easy to get funds out like the Mayor's Challenge Fund, you'll also get private developers coming along wanting to do things because the vision for the place is very clear.
John, could you get the officer to respond in detail about the permission in principle comment they made?
Yeah, I think I get what you mean there. I don't think this will apply here because it's not. This isn't a planning document as such. It's more of a strategy. But yeah, okay, I'll get that to you, Colin.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Colin. Next question, please.
Okay, the next question, I think we've got 4 in total, are from Jennifer Shaw, and Jennifer wants to read the questions out herself. Okay, Jennifer.
Unmute, Jennifer. Unmute yourself, Jennifer. Jennifer, unmute, please.
There we are.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll just say it's nice to hear so many positive comments about Heywood Market, but my focus has been Heywood Market. And without wishing to duplicate what's been said already, I would like to read out my preamble and the questions that I've got for the committee tonight. I've traded on Heywood Market since April 2012 and was appointed as a director in October 2020. I was recently made aware of a master plan, or the master plan, which is likely to impact on several businesses. Although we're currently closed due to the COVID pandemic and government regulations, we have taken the opportunity to undertake a £300,000 refurbishment of the market, which starts today, the 15th of February, and will take 10 to 12 weeks. The refurbishment will greatly improve the market, both internally and externally, and once we reopen, will undoubtedly bring a breath of fresh air to the market and surrounding shops, will bring increased footfall to the market and Heywood itself. The parking facilities close by are accessible and essential for shoppers, and customers prefer to shop on Heywood Market than Bury for this and other reasons. Retail will always have a place as customers seek face-to-face interaction, customer service and advice when buying. Markets are good for business. Dunelm was founded in 1979 by Bill Adderley and Jean Adderley, trading in home textiles from a market stall in Leicester. In recent years, 3 of our trade businesses have expanded and now occupy shops in Heywood Town Centre. My concern is that Rochdale Council has only recently decimated the historical Rochdale Market and may now seek to do the same to Heywood Market. The market refurbishment has been planned for 2 to 3 years with ongoing contact with the council, which has not at any time consulted with the Magic Trust about the master plan. My questions for tonight's meeting are, if it becomes untenable for the market to remain where it is, What are the council's plans to relocate the market, and will it ensure that if it is relocated, the market will be brought up to the refurbished standard? Second question, can the council confirm that if any businesses suffer because of the relocation or at worst closure, they will be compensated accordingly? And my third question, will the trust be reimbursed for the money spent on the refurbishment? Thank you.
So Rochdale came, so you mentioned Rochdale's just decimated Rochdale Market. I don't know what you mean. It was, the co-op was asked, the co-op asked the market to leave, and the council saved the market and the town losing its charter. And the market that currently exists on the books is doing very well. Well, it was doing very well outside of the lockdown period, and the lady who'd taken it over was doing a fantastic job. So I don't know what you mean there. I think rather than do down what she's been doing, we should be thanking her for her work, because she did take it on for nothing. The point about you know, we're not going to do anything to the market, so I don't know why we'd reimburse you for something we've not done, I'm afraid. I can't think why we give you cash for that. I mean, if we're looking forward to seeing your market refurbished. I know the council's been giving you advice on, you know, some of the legal things in your lease and other elements. I can't remember exactly what. I might be talking rubbish. And like I said, you know, earlier, Sue Coates walked round the market with me and Peter. So when you were initially first talking about your refurbishment, and the work then, you know, I said this will fit well with your master plan, and that's how, you know, Susan said in her questions, you know, we were told we were going to get in-depth consultation, because it was at that point I told her. So it did, you know, so from a market point of view, it didn't just pop out the ground. People knew about it. You know, I don't know what I've never met you myself, Jennifer. But given the council's not going to knock it down or do anything to the market, it's hard to imagine why we would give you any cash for that. We do help, you know, other places, you know, develop, and if they've got proposals and things, as we did with you, you know, we give you a lot of free advice. But I think we've gone over your questions really now.
Can I say something?
Sorry.
Can I say something? Jennifer, how would you?
We're sorry. We can't. Sorry about this, but we cannot have consultation on every question, unfortunately, because with that many questions to answer, we feel as though we've answered your question, Sue's question, and now Jennifer's question to the satisfaction, else we're going to be here in debate all night. Thank you.
Okay, shall I, Jennifer, are you okay, or can I move on, or have you got anything else?
Oh, you're on mute. Sorry, Jennifer, you're on mute.
Next question, please.
Sorry, can I just say my questions have come quite late in the meeting, so a lot of it is duplicated from earlier discussions. So it may be questions that I've asked that might not needed to have been asked, because, as I say, you've answered all the questions already. But I do feel I needed to put my point forward.
100% agree. A very, very fair point, which we, as a township, I'm sure we're going to support.
Thank you.
Next question, please.
Okay, the next question is the last question, and we have seen a couple of similar questions to this. So I'm just going to ask Councillor Peter Winkler, who submitted the question on behalf of Chris Clarkson MP, if he's satisfied with the responses he's had with regards to the Brownfield Land Register.
Yeah, thank you, Gary. I think yeah, we've heard the answers to the question that's been submitted by Chris.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Chair, that concludes all the questions on this particular item that I've got.
Can I just make a final point, Peter?
Yeah.
So thanks everybody for coming. I hope that's put all your fears to bed. But we do want to hear the positive stuff as well. So make sure you get in touch with your councillors. Make sure you invite me to the launch of your refurbished market. If you've not having me cut the ribbon, I'm going to be offended now.
You're joking.
Me and Peter will cut the ribbon. But so thanks for having us. Like I said, this is a positive thing for Heywood. If you've got any individual concerns about what's going on, come and let me know. Sue, I mean, I've worked with Sue on a couple of things. Like she said, you know, the council's been working with her to help her with the refurbishment. And, you know, I said to her, then any problems, come and let me know. And that offer still stands for the market. I think it's a great thing. My great uncle shops there. I wish Littleborough had one like it. But we do want to hear the positives. So if you've got any views, let us know. And I'm sure Peter will feed that back. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, John. Thank you for your contribution, and I will endorse that. I thank all the members for the interest in the master plan, which is the utmost in our considerations. I can assure you that all my councillors do support this master plan for the sake of Heywood, and I am proud to be the chair. Always my theory and my comment is putting Heywood first. Thank you very much. I will now request the members to consider this report and to vote on approving the master plan. Could we have you, Chair Jerry, please to call the names out and ask for their request?
Comment, please, Chair.
Come on, Liam. Yeah.
Well, I think all members need to have an opportunity to speak on it. Now that we've heard from the public, can I just say, you know, it's been great to see so many people here tonight, and I think we all fully share. You know, you see a plan, and Councillor Blundell said it. You know, you see lots of splashes of different colour, and you think, oh my God, what's happening here? I think we should put that reassurance out there firmly tonight that the council has no plans with the market. You know, the only plans we'd have is if you ask us to improve it, and we'll do our best to help you out with that. And I think that needs to be a loud and firm message from Township tonight as part of the consultation when the final master plan is finished. And I'm sure I'd get endorsement from that, from all my fellow councillors on the call. You know, this is a really positive step forward for Heywood. It's really good to see, you know, the manifesto my party's done and I'm standing on in future, that we're delivering on that. And I think that sort of accountability is necessary for members of the council. I think all we need to make sure we do now is spread the consultation far and wide, so every member of the public, not just those who, if you like, are interested in the intricacies of local democracy, but also members of the public who have, you know, use the town centre, use facilities in the town, but don't necessarily pay much attention to what the council does. We need to make sure we reach those people as part of the consultation now, because it's actually their voices who are the most important in this, because they're the ones who'll see a lot of, you know, potentially some changes in our town centre, a lot of changes in our town centre, hopefully all for the better. I hope they feel they have control and pride in them as much as we will have when we get round to passing this master plan and moving forward with any development in the future. So fully endorsed, Chair. I hope all other members endorse it with us and happily second your proposal.
Thank you very much indeed. Through you, Gary, can we call a vote, please?
Like we're through Alison. Alison.
Yeah, Chair, I'm happy to do that. So
Thank you very
I'll
much,
call each councillor's name. Could you just say for, against, or abstain, please? Councillor Susan Emmett.
For.
Councillor Ray Dutton.
For.
Councillor Liam O'Rourke.
For.
Councillor Peter Malcolm.
For.
Councillor Peter Rush.
All right.
Councillor Carol Wardle.
I think she asked not to be muted and someone's muted her.
Yeah, no, Carol Wardle's still here, unmuted, you're right. Carol, can you unmute yourself?
I think because she's on the phone, not on internet, she can't unmute herself, unfortunately.
Well, how can we
Alison's got to unmute her.
I'm just trying to unmute her. It doesn't seem to be working. Just bear with me.
She's told me she's voting for.
Sorry.
A proxy vote.
God, I wish I had that power sometimes. Yeah, they're all in favour, yeah.
Struggling to unmute Councillor Wardle. No, she's unmuted.
Hi, it's Carol. I finally got it unmuted. I did ask you not to mute me because I'm on the phone, but I am for the development.
Thank you
Jim,
very much.
I can confirm that's unanimous.
Thank you very much, and thank you everybody for the contribution in the interest of Heywood First. Thank you very much for tonight's master plan questions and answers and agreements. Next, down to the open forum, which is brought behind the master plan or in front of the master plan, behind the master plan. Over to open forum, please.
Yeah, we only had one item in the open forum, which was I think it was David's issue. Is David still there? Yeah, David Smith. Yeah, which was David's issue. However, because of the number of responses we've received tonight, which obviously has only become evident today, and the fact that there's no representative from environmental management, it's proposed that we pass all the comments and questions that David has sent through to us onto environmental management for a response in writing with 10 days. Are members agreeable to that?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Chair, can I just make a quick comment, please?
Certainly can.
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, David, I've read your comments, and obviously I've been seeing the fantastic work on the Facebook group that I think it's Michael Bratby set up. He's done a lot of work communicating on Facebook. So, you know, firstly, thank you to you and your group for the amount of work you're doing, letting people know about grot spots in town. It's majorly appreciated. We're all always looking out for grot spots. We can't be everywhere all the time. So we urge any member of the public, if you see a grot spot, let us or the council know, you know, and we will endeavour to have it cleaned up. With regards to your broad points, absolutely enthusiastic. The only thing I would say as a way of helping, can I suggest you go back to the group and let them know, do sign up as a with the Charities Commission. If you're a charitable group, that means it's okay if you know, it makes it easier for you to access council funds, for example. Because at the moment, obviously, if you as an individual ask, oh, can I have, you know, 500 quid for shovels and spades? You know, we'd say, well, what's your audit? You know, blah, blah, blah. We've got taxpayers' money to look after. I'm sure you appreciate that. If you're a charitable group, we can see all that. So it makes it easy for you to access money. We're a proud cooperative council, and that means working with the public to get stuff done. So please, 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 carry on your good work. You know, you can contact me via me Twitter DMs, and I'll answer that. And as we saw at the back of the shop on Dawson Street, we'll get stuff cleaned up. Just let me know, just email me, and we'll get that passed on to environmental management. And I'm sure that all councillors endorse that sort of positive course of action that you guys are doing. And as I say, if you sign up with the Charities Commission, make it all official. It means you can access township funds far, far easier and far, far more effectively than the current situation. Because obviously, to reiterate, we've got taxpayers' money to look after, and we've got to be ultra safe in these tight times with that. But we know you'll do that.
May I say something there? May I say something?
Katie, you're on mute.
Yes, you can.
So, oh, lovely. Yeah, just yeah, that's fantastic. Once again, I must say big thank you. And you know, probably we travel a little bit close to the wire at times, but we've had to do a big look into what's going on. And if I could just probably just go through this one set of information that we did send, and it was basically to the councillors and Township. It was question 1. First of all, will you support the Heywood cleanup group in the future? Would you look at doing a once-a-month walk around your ward to check grot spots? Would you be interested in helping us with the leaflets for grot spots? would you come? We'd like to invite you to our alley cleanup meetings, and obviously join us, obviously, to show the town that you're really interested in the alleys, because as you know, we've done the research on the alley, and we know the historical mess of the alley, and we know what's going on with environment. And let's be honest, we're not going to put the blame on anybody here. We're not laying it at your feet. We're not going to lay it at environment. We all have to take responsibility. But I think we will have to hold our hands up and say, yeah, we do know the idea with the alley gating, okay? But unfortunately, that was a great thing, and I must applaud the people who got that. I mean, it's worked fantastic for my parents and for me. However, the council did implement this through the funding they got, and it has now simply been left. So I will encourage all members to get on board with our work we're doing. And today, we've just provided some signs for one of our alley cleans we've just done. And we basically empowered the community. And I know you've done the work before, and I've spoke to Ray, and I've spoke to Councillor Robinson and Peter, and I am totally understanding that it's not your fault, 100%. But we simply cannot leave this, because it's a massive health and safety issue. It's all about building back communities. The council are telling us this through the directorate, and it's not happening. And we're going to have to get hold of this as residents. We're going to have to empower with yous. We want yous on board, because people don't believe you're interested. I've got to be honest. I think you are. I think you're interested. And I think we can do these things. I think since Christmas, we've reported 65 drop spots in Heywood. And I think if we all get that bit proactive, we can come together with enforcement and environment, and we work together as a team. It's not going to take a tremendous amount of money, because we've already got people going in the right direction. It's going to take dedication, it's going to take enthusiasm, and it's going to take, we are going to do this. We are going to make our town the best town in the borough, and we are going to showcase what our town's about. We're going to tackle dog fouling. We are not going to be second-rate citizens. We're going to do it right. And that is where we're at. And I have no thing about being honest, and I'll say some things, you might not like them, like I said, but our heart is in the right place. And we want to activate everybody going forward. And trust me, I've had some grief about this. We've all had some grief of people in the community. But we're bigger than that. We are bigger than that. And the power of the good people will come back to Heywood, and they will become responsible citizens getting on board. And I want you to be a part of that. And I'm getting the positive feedback, and I want it all off all of you. I want you all involved. I want you all to say, this Heywood clean up, this environmental change, this building back communities, as they're saying on all the plans on the RBC websites, we're doing it. We're not talking it, we're doing it. And we started in October, and I urge you to go home and say, let's do this, let's get on board, let's work together. And I'd like to say thank you for listening to that.
Right, thank you. I'd just like, before I bring you in, Liam, I'd just like to make the point. Certainly, we are a responsible township who work on all these issues that you give us without coming or asking you. We respect you come to us and inform us about the complaints, etc. And what I'm saying, we hold surgeries that never get attended, right? We go to every possible complaint. Even today in lockdown, I've been out 3 times. We pass this information to our environmental team, which we give the greatest respect to, who work very, very hard. We go through every possible channel of enforcement. I'm not being rude. We certainly don't need telling, but we respect you bringing this to us as councillors. And like Liam said, we've got to spend any money, the charity has got to be accepted as a charity. But I've got greatest respect for every one of my councillors. Some of the time, I do get infused with yourself and Michael Bratby. Is he part of your team?
Michael Bratby.
Yeah.
Michael Bratby is me.
Well, thank you. That's good.
Oh, right. I thought I recognised your voice, but I didn't want to say anything.
David Smith. David Smith is the activist of Michael Bratby.
So I get
juvenile.
We're looking at the sign outside the Crimblecroft Community Centre.
That was only up for 2 minutes, Peter. Me and my daughter did it.
You did emphasise the fact that you did want to work with the council. I can assure you, you're very, very welcome to work with us on all accounts. And I'm sure you'll get the endorsement as a follow through by the elected member to sort the problems out. Liam.
Chair, just on that, I did forget to mention, I know Councillor Neil Emmett, who's the Cabinet Member for Environment, or whatever we call these, Equality of Place, I think it's called these days. I know he's committed to meeting you as well to help the group, you know, from that, if you like, Cabinet level. But also, you know, again, full endorsement from the township. There's only one thing I have to take issue with, though, in your comments. I was very disappointed to just hear you say that we're going to make Heywood the best town in the borough, because it's already the best town in the borough.
Correct.
So, you know what I mean? We've got that sense of optimism here, but we need to work hard to keep it up there, and I'm sure we will. And thanks for killing that confusion with the Michael Bratby, David Smith stuff. I thought I recognised your voice, but I was thinking, no, that must be something different. Glad we got that worked out. That confused me for a second there.
Glad to meet you, David Michael.
Liam, I'd like to say environmentally clean, shall we say, where we can get our bins emptied and put away and we've not got places of rats. Very quickly, just going back to that, because I think it's fantastic. I appreciate your response. And once again, I'm man enough to say sometimes I can be a bit outspoken. I don't mean it that way. I'm very passionate.
So is every other member of Rochdale.
Yeah, I must say that I've got to be honest. We as you know, we only have 3 enforcement people in the borough, and we have actually been constantly battling with enforcement. Only yesterday on Saturday, you probably all got the email with the tipping that was on Tower Street again. I actually went out, spoke to the resident, and we found the information on the receipt of a person who it was, with footage of a resident. They come from Pilsworth Road. I'd sent that in Saturday. No enforcement officer had visited the area. I made a call first thing this morning, and I then sent it through on the system. So all I'm saying is, we don't work for anybody. We want to work alongside. We raise our own funds, which we are doing. It's only small. I put quite a bit of money in of my own, and we have to, you know, this is about making sure that the people in these positions that are in charge of doing these alleyways up, these certain people in the NDP 12, that they do it, and they're not answering the questions. And the guys on the ground level, we give our Benman chocolates. We give our Benman. We're going to give them. We're having them around to give them awards. We're going to give them all sorts of thank yous as big pats on the back to embrace them. The guys at ground level are actually very, very good. But we have to understand that when a chap in enforcement turns round to you and says, well, when we've told him that we've spotted his bin men leaving bins at the other end of the town and rubbish on the floor and flicking cigarette ends, and he turns around and says that no, that's not right. He's obviously not. He's not looking at the job, and he's not out on the street like we are. So we also have to bring these people to task and get the best from them, from our town. And it's the same with councillors. We all have to do our bit to get the job right. And, you know, the better it's going to be for everybody. That's all it's about.
I agree with you. But as a request from the township chair, I think you had first consultation with Councillor Beswick and myself. Please, can you go to your township councillor? If you don't get any response from the township councillor, then you have a massive right to complain. But we're in a position where we can enforce. Yeah. Please go to the township councillor, leave us alone on Facebook as such. And if we don't do our job, then you can start complaining. But on the other hand, if you come to us, we can guarantee. Is your township councillor Carol Wardle?
Yeah, I've got to be fair. Carol did.
Is Carol Wardle your township councillor?
Yes, Peter, I am. And I was the one abused by him in the street when I was canvassing with Councillor Emmett.
I
That
think
is not acceptable.
I
No,
think
not at all. So
I think we said bygones are bygones, and
yeah,
I think we've got to
okay, I
move forward
agree. But
positively as a
let's
township
get to a
for the
point,
benefit of the
Katie.
town.
Please, will you put trust in your local councillors? Come to your local councillor or your township chair or any other councillors to get the satisfaction. You've mentioned one thing on enforcement. Yeah, our council, our environmental team, we've got the greatest respect for. We get a very positive workload. They do go out and look at bits of paper. Once, believe it or not, on a Sunday morning, we went out and found a complaint dumped on the township car park for somebody that lived in Stockport. The necessary action was taken, the fines were put in place, and I'm telling you, they got to 4 figures in a lot of cases. I've got every faith in my environmental team and everybody that works within that. Please go through your local councillor, me personally, and I'm sure every other councillor will say the same to you. We'll work together with you. Your situation charity-wise, we'll fund it with you if that's okay. But if you just go through the normal channels, instead of us picking up, I don't use Township a lot, to be honest. Sorry, I don't use the scatter a lot, but please, social media causes a lot of problems that are not necessary, that we have to answer and work with.
I think if I can just come back there, Peter, and with all due respect, I wouldn't say there's been any derogatory comments about any council members. What we would say, when somebody has said, "Oh, these dog fouling," we will say, contact your local councillor from that area, which is appropriate. Okay. I'm not going to go back on the Carol thing because I've got to be fair. She has answered a few emails and she's already said she wants to help in the area, which is very welcoming, and I appreciate that. And going back to enforcement, we have an historic amount of actual evidence where it's not taken place. Where enforcement, it's been videoed.
Pass it to your local councillor.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we will do that now. Right. Yeah, we'll do that. But you also have to remember.
Come back to me. Come back to me personally. Yeah. If you don't get an answer.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I will do. What we've got to remember here, Peter, is, I mean, our group is 120 members, and we're constituted. We are part of Keep Britain Tidy UK. We're now slugged onto them. We're onto Greenpeace. We want this to become a Rochdale, Middleton, Bury, same thing, because we all deserve that. So
no, we don't. We want it to be better than them.
But yeah, oh no, I mean it to branch out. Branch out. So people have that. We've already got people coming on board from Castleton and from Whitefield and from Bury who are looking at doing the same things. And I think we've got to be, let's all be honest. You know, I've spoke to several councillors, and several people in different councils will say we've got passengers and we've got drivers. And all I'm saying is, let's push on with this. Let's get on and let's show the town what it's about. Let's put it all behind us, like Liam says. We've had something. We've raised awareness. We've got people going. We've got people talking. And let's be honest. Wherever you go, and I've travelled the world, and Heywood's got a reputation, and people will come back and say it's a something hole, and I don't like it. I want to live in a nice place for my daughter to grow up and everybody else's kids to have a fantastic time. And we know it's difficult in this town, and we won't reach everybody, but we have to keep going.
I just reiterate, we're elected members to do that job, right? We're elected members to enforce, right, with the power of enforcement and to put the fines in, etc. So please go through us. Just as finish the conversation, I've been very, very proud as a few people on this township to be the mayor of the borough of Rochdale. And when anybody come in with a complaint and said Rochdale, I said reiterate the borough, which is Heywood, Middleton, Pennines and Rochdale. We're the smallest community, we get the smallest budgets, but all my councillors work to the tune of putting Heywood first. We've had from yourself, Costin, Susan Emmett and Carol Wardle while they were out canvassing. Not necessary. Facebook, we've been slagged off. Not necessary. Puts the workload on us that should be doing, enforcing and making sure all your comments are put forward, and we'll be willing to work for you if charity wise funding is okay, and certainly work with you on behalf of improving or keeping our Heywood up to standard. Thank you.
So I look forward, Peter, to you bringing a flask of coffee out to the cleanups.
Certainly will. Do you have sugar in?
Fantastic.
Right, moving on to the agenda. Sorry very much, Mr. Tory, for keeping you, but we've enjoyed our meeting to date. And the next thing is the objection to traffic order.
I've got the minutes yet, Peter.
Sorry?
Still need to do the minutes.
Oh, sorry, I apologise. Yeah, I apologise. Minutes of the last meeting, which I've got in front of me.
Agree the minutes.
Second the minutes.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Gary, for keeping me on track. The next one is the minutes we've done. The next one is number 7, Link for Life. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Darren.
Thanks, Chair, and thank you very much, everyone, for taking time to let me just come and say hello this evening. Obviously, a very packed agenda and a late evening, so I'll try and keep it short. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Darren Grice and I'm Deputy CEO at Link for Life. And we want to come and talk to you this evening because obviously at the moment our buildings aren't open, but that doesn't mean to say that we're not busy behind the scenes doing lots of things, and we are. And it does say on here about coming for an update, and I'm happy to update you, but it's not quite why I'm here. We've been doing a lot of thinking behind the scenes, actually in the lead up to March last year, about how we might work differently and how we might work differently going forward as a charity. And then I think the period of the pandemic since March last year has really galvanized that thinking. I met Councillor Dutton and Councillor Rush before the pandemic in March, and one of the things we were talking about was tightening the connections between what we're doing and what's needed in a local township base. And we talked about attending township meetings, and that's actually flavoured really how we've been thinking during the period of the pandemic around how we might adapt and develop the way that we work going forward as a charity. Many of you will know that lots of our teams were working on the local response hubs, and through that process developed a really strong working relationship with different networks and different individuals in each township. And that's really led us to believe that the way forward to make the best impact on the resources and opportunities we have as a charity, and also with the communities, is to work much more closely with each of the townships. And as you've said tonight, that each township is very different and has its own unique opportunities and challenges, and we want to work with you and learn more about how we can work closely to support communities. So my request, I guess, is that we would ask whether we would be able to come to these meetings more regularly and build a closer working relationship, understand more about how we can help in terms of each individual township. And then the offer is to be here to also explain what we're doing and our thinking, and to work much more connected with you. We know that place-based is the way to go forward. We know that working with communities to help them work with us to design the things that they want to do through our programs is absolutely central to the way we want to develop the way that Link for Life works. So we want to work closely with community members, and they can actually help design the types of programs and interventions that they would like to have, whether it's a leisure experience or whether it's from programming or entertainment at the Civic Centre or whatever that might be. We know that COVID presents a significant challenge for many of our communities, so we're really ramping up our focus around health and well-being and how around the work that we come out the other end of this delivering, how that can help build people's confidence, get them back into town centres, build their health and well-being and mental health and well-being. And obviously a big focus for us is going to be around diversity, inclusion and the environment going forward. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the facilities and some of the plans that we have, but really the main thing was thank you for inviting us. We'd like to come more often if we're welcome, and we'd like to work more closely with you if that's possible.
Liam?
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, Darren, thank you very, very much for coming, and I'm sure we'd all like to see plenty of you, because can I just say that it's the most positive thing I've heard from someone from Link for Life at one of these meetings in a long time. Absolutely fantastic stuff. I was hearing there. I don't know if it's been passed on. Certainly at previous meetings, I've been slightly critical of Link for Life, because my feeling is, particularly with regards to the Civic Centre, which is, as the recent COVID testing has shown, absolutely vital community building. Unfortunately, some community groups found the pricing strategy unaccessible, unfortunately, which meant that township funds were basically, and we've got limited funds, as we've discussed many times tonight, we will often find we were trying to dip in and basically selecting the winners and losers about who gets to do stuff at the Civic Centre, which all of it would have done social good in reality. So one thing I'd love to work with you is when we have things that are not for profit, working out a pricing strategy to make that facility accessible, and obviously getting it as full as possible. Because obviously there's events that can make money there, and it's quite right, they should be charged accordingly if they're for profit. It's that opposite one for when it's community groups. And again, I extend that invitation to work with you on that. And again, thank you very much for the offer. It's appreciated and I look forward to it.
Councillor Dutton.
Thank you, Chair. Just echo everything what Liam's actually said, and you're most welcome, Darren. And I do welcome your comments. I agree with Liam, they're very positive. And I do look forward perhaps to seeing you at my scrutiny meeting in the near future. We've not seen a Link for Life for so many years. So I'll expect a full and foremost report perhaps when you're in front of scrutiny when we're at this COVID-19 crisis. But please pass on my thanks to all your team for what they've done through the last 12 months. Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, no problem at all. And just to say, I'm really sorry, my connection dropped out there as Councillor O'Rourke was talking. I got the first bit and the end bit, but I might have missed a little bit in the middle. But yeah, we're absolutely on it with that pricing stuff, and we really want to, and we're already talking to some of those groups. So hopefully, but you know, we can pick up anything offline. But yeah, thank you for inviting me. It's great to be here.
It was very complimentary, Darrell, I can assure you.
I blushed and disappeared.
Any more questions? So that leads again to a vote. Everybody agreeing that we recognise Link for Life at our next township meeting, and everyone after. Thank you, Raymond. Susan?
Agreed.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Alan, Jackie? Grab?
I think that's a thumbs up, Chair.
Thank you. Alan, question? Oh, thank you. Got his thumb up now. So that's agreed, and welcome to the next meeting, Darrell.
Thank you.
Again, the agenda, not all me, most of it me, has been messed about. Once again, I apologise to you, Andrew. Objection to the traffic order, Bury and Rochdale All Road. I'm sure you've had all your papers. We've got Nathan here. Thank you very much, Nathan, and waiting in the wings. And Andrew to present this document, traffic order.
Thank you, Chair. Well, as you just mentioned, Nathan has come into the meeting as well. I think this is the third time this report has been presented to members of Heywood. The last one was at the subcommittee meeting, I think just before Christmas. what wasn't I think particularly clear at that meeting is that the proposal, if it couldn't be supported wholly by members of Heywood Township, then that then has to be referred back to Cabinet. But since it was minuted at the meeting, the subcommittee meeting, that it should be brought back to the next township meeting, which is tonight. I think there was a request from members that the length of the yellow lines should be looked at. So rather than me go through the report in any particular detail, Nathan is here. Nathan is the team leader for network management, and it's his team that have advertised the traffic regulation order, and it has been prepared by a member of his team. So if I could just introduce Nathan, if Nathan could take over from myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Chair. As Andrew has said, this report is to determine the outcome of the objection to the traffic regulation order for Bury and Rochdale Old Road. There was one objector who was a member of staff at Fairfield Hospital, and it's understood that the people causing the parking issue are staff at the hospital. The scheme can be broken down into three predominant areas, which is in the report. There's the section around the boundary between the Albert Lane and the Borough boundary. This is where currently the parking is taking place on the footways on both sides of the road in places. What's happening is, due to the parking on the footway, they are obstructing the footway, damaging the footway, but then also larger vehicles on some occasions are struggling to get past the existing traffic island, forcing buses and ambulances to go on the wrong side of the traffic island. As Andrew mentioned at the last committee meeting in December, there was a question of whether the restrictions could be reduced, because currently they extend down towards the former Melba plastic site. Now, if we would advise against reducing the length of the double yellow lines, because if we stop the yellow lines opposite or adjacent to the bus terminus, the people from the hospital will potentially park there. And at this location, you've got a number of driveway accesses onto and off Bury and Rochdale Old Road. So it would cause a safety hazard for them entering and exit the road there. They would still likely park on the footway and obstruct the footway. But also, this section of road is 40 miles an hour. And currently there is a provision of an advisory cycle lane, which in places is defended with near side islands. So parking in at these locations and beyond toward Melba Plastic, it potentially risks that vulnerable users such as cyclists, because they would then have to travel in the main traffic lane, and in this time where we're trying to support walking and cycling, we've got the existing facilities there. There's an opportunity to protect them restrictions and prevent any vehicles displaced by the restrictions from parking in the cycle lane. So finally, the recommendation from officers is to implement the scheme in full as advertised. If the committee cannot agree to do that this evening, then the matter needs to be referred to Cabinet. So that's it from me. Thank you. Happy to take any questions.
Liam?
And saw the cock crowed 3 times. Chair, I have to say I find this utterly disrespectful that this has come back to this township in this fashion. We've rejected it twice because we were very firm in our assertion that the proposal is far too long. And to be honest, to try and put blame on NHS staff at this moment of time is utterly reckless from the council. And I can't believe you've come to this meeting with that, to be honest. We know in Heywood, okay, it's all well and good telling people from Heywood that they can walk up to Fairfield Hospital to go to work, because the public transport options, frankly, aren't there at this stage to the extent that they should be. So to restrict parking access would be detrimental to residents in Heywood. we have asked, can it be reduced? And it does seem like it's come back again, because it's basically, look, you've got it wrong twice, Heywood Township, please get it right third time. Well, no, certainly I haven't changed my mind on this. I've not seen anything that convinces me to change my mind on this. And to be honest, I'm more than a little insulted that our views that a scheme has not come back, that is reduced, that could satisfy township members and satisfy the safety concerns and the and what the objector has brought up. Chair, happy, you know, obviously other councillors may want to have a say, but I am very happy to propose that we reject this and send it to cabinet.
More than happy to second Liam's recommendation there, Chair.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's a second, Chair. No mind, sorry.
I can't, Alan, a bit clearer, please. Thank you.
I said I second Liam's suggestion, Chair.
Fine. Any more
Can it go to the vote, Chair?
Yeah.
Carol?
Can it go to the vote?
Yeah.
Or is this the vote?
We'll go to the vote of all councillors present.
Chair, so you've had a proposition to reject the traffic order, and that means it wouldn't get sent to cabinet. That's been proposed by Councillor O'Rourke, seconded by Councillor McCarthy. I'll read out members' names. If you could just let me know for, against or abstain to that proposal, please. Councillor Susan Emmett.
Against.
Councillor Liam O'Rourke.
Oh,
sorry.
So you're against the scheme, Susan?
Start again, Alison.
Okay. Councillor Alan McCarthy.
We're against Liam, aren't we?
So to clarify, we are for my proposal, against the scheme.
Yeah.
So we're voting on my proposal right now.
All Liam's proposal.
Councillor Jackie Beswick.
For.
Councillor Ray Dutton.
For.
Councillor Peter Malcolm.
For.
Councillor Peter Rush.
For.
Councillor Carol Wardle.
For.
So the scheme is rejected and it will be sent to cabinet.
Thank you, Alison.
Good decision, everybody.
Does not come back to Heywood Township for a fourth time.
No.
Well, I'd love to see it come back with a reduced scheme.
Yeah.
That would satisfy us. That's what I want. Please bring it back with that, and we'll fully support it. I'm sure we will.
I meant the same.
Well, I think we've got equal. I think we've got equal representation on the council anyway. So from it's a big scheme because too many townships are involved, at least two. I think that concludes the minutes of the meeting. Consider the attachment report of directors of neighbourhoods.